Today I'm going to speak a little bit about how UX and business connect. And just to present myself, I think we had a presentation already, but I've been working for a little bit more than 10 years with UX product management. And I've kind of worked on different kind of products as an entrepreneur, as a consultant, and it's been a very interesting experience. So yeah, I think like this presentation is especially for students, because students always ask me this, like, hey Andre, should I learn HTML? Should I learn about coding? But I never get this question about business. And I think business is as important, or maybe even more important, than understanding about coding. And I think for professionals, I think it might be interesting as well, because it can help increase the maturity level of UX teams, for them to be more mature and to understand more about what is happening around them. So, this is a presentation with some answers on how to start to think about integrating business and UX, but these kind of questions, these kind of answers, they come as questions. So I'm not going to give you like a final solution of some sort. I'm going to bring some questions for us to reflect, because each product, each industry is specific, right? So, what is the importance of UX inside a company? Just to have like a broad understanding. I think UX is everything, right? So I always kind of get this kind of comment, or when I see this kind of phrase, I'm very skeptic about it, right? Because I think this is a terrible template, honestly. And you can replace anything here. Marketing is everything. Product management is everything. It's always a bad template. I think we are just a small piece of the puzzle. We are kind of working together with other teams, and we are always trying to get everything together, right? And I think the thing that we are kind of getting together to make happen is the business, right? We gotta make a business. We gotta create and help it grow. And by business, I mean a commercial operation or company. But if you work on non-profits, etc., it kind of goes on the same path, right? To make this organization grow. And however, we might look at this and say, hey, Andre, but UX is about users and keeping users as a priority and being the user advocate, right? We always hear this, but I don't think this is a direct conflict. I think we can think about. So we kind of have a logic here, right? So sometime in a certain moment, right, a business has started, and this business started to get some kind of traction, and then they hired someone on the UX team to help improve that. But then it's connected, the UX improves, right? And then we have happier or more satisfied users, and it goes back to business, right? So this is definitely interconnected. And the more we help business, so the cycle goes up, right? The more we help business, the more we can get a larger team, the more we can improve the user experience in the end. So I think there was a very great presentation from Paul Adams from Intercom recently in London. I think it was in the product conference, not sure. There's the link here if you guys want to check it out. I highly recommend it. And he makes a case which is similar to what I'm talking about here, that it takes everyone to build a great product, right? Not just design. Even though we are here helping out on some specific things, there are many variables to make a great product. So usually, UX is located here on this X mark, right? When we think about any kind of project or company, we have cost, time, and quality, right? We are always holding the fortress here at the bottom. But if you are a startup UX designer, you will be naturally pushed to the top super quickly, right? If you become a leader from a UX team, you will have to deal with the other variables much, much more, right? So I think having the balance and understanding these three variables is very important for any UX designer. I think one thing to think about is that it's not going to be perfect. It's not like the perfect harmony. There will be conflict. So business objectives and user objectives will clash. Definitely. There is no doubt about it, right? So it's about conflict, but it's also about negotiation, trade-offs, and kind of seeing what is the action we should take, what are the small wins and the long time wins that we can have, and it's about finding balance. And just like finding balance, there is like some kind of adjustments as we go, right? So how can you connect business and UX? I'm going to present two ways here, which can be more actionable items. And one is kind of starting on the UX side, the other one on the business side, right? So on the UX, kind of looking at some of the strategies we have already set up and how can we work with them. And the other one is to start with business and looking at some concepts which we can bring to the UX world. So first one, start with UX.
Hey, sorry about all the flashes. No,
You're trying to get it fixed? So sorry about that, guys.
No worries.
I promise I'm not pushing bigger.
Cool. So whenever you get a new project, right, you gotta ask the person who is the product manager, project manager, business analyst, whatever, what is the goal here? What is the business goal? What are we trying to achieve? It's very common for us to just receive the project and get excited and start working with it and not even think about it, right? So making this question is important, or even like it's good to receive this information, but if it doesn't exist, it's our responsibility to ask. And sometimes this person won't know. Sometimes it's not super clear. So don't like do finger pointing. Just help discover it, right? So okay, if we are doing this new flow, if we are doing these new pages, what do we want to get out of it, right? What are the key things that we want to extract from it? So here I'm going to mention a few things that we do already that we can expand, right? So competitive analysis, of course, we have heuristics, which is awesome. It can really help us improve the user experience, right, and understand what is happening. But I think since we are checking out the competitors already, it's super easy. It's an opportunity for us to check out the business model, right? Is it like a membership, in-app purchase? Is it something else, right? Do they have ads or not? When at which moment do we have those ads? And so forth, right? And observe the paywall and login wall. This is really, really important. People always miss that, right? So when is the moment where they ask the user for the login, and when is the moment where we ask for the money, right? These are two moments which are very common moments for churn, for losing users, right? So we gotta mark those down always. So the other one is personas, right? So I think we usually, I see many of the personas, they are not connected with the business, right? So how much does this persona spend, right? On like a simple example, if we think about, let's say, games industry, they have what they call whales, right? So the whales are the kind of consumer who is responsible for 90% or 99% of the in-app purchases, right? So even though this might be 1% of the audience, from a business perspective, it is essential, right? So maybe, yes, it's interesting to have this as a persona. So how common is this persona, right? And can this persona influence others, right? So sometimes if we think about a product such as YouTube, right? Probably the streamers, the ones that create the channels, they might be, again, very small, but they have an influence to bring other users, right? So we gotta understand that it's very important from the business perspectives. Other transactions, of course, we have some kind of marketplace, some kind of buyer and seller, or service provider versus consumer, right? And I think this is very important, unifying marketing and UX personas. This is a tricky thing, right? And sometimes marketing is caring about other stuff, but I think there needs to be some kind of direct connection between those two. Otherwise, I think from my experience, this is a very common source of miscommunication. Customer journey mapping, which is one of my favorite tools, right? We all know about that, about the structure, right? We have happy moments, pain points, and then we think about what are the opportunities we can do for this whole flow. But I think it's just about adding a few extra lines, right? So if we have this flow here, what are the things that we can think about? What are the business risks for each one of the moments of this journey, right? For the business. And what are, on the opposite side, the optimistic side, right? So what are the business opportunities that we have on which one of these moments? It doesn't mean that we are going to have both of these every single moment, but it's important to keep an eye on that. Wireframes and UI, I think we always miss that, right? So what is the key business objective for this screen, right? And it's super common for me to see UX designers and UI designers just doing, I'm just going to build the buttons here without thinking that sometimes that one single button defines the profit for the company, right? And I think we need to understand that. And the other one is how can I help promote it, right? So what kind of experiments can we do? What kind of things can we test it out, right? The second one, so kind of switching from the other side, right? I was talking about, maybe some small steps that we can do with the existing strategies that we have for UX. And I think there are some interesting concepts from business we can bring to UX. So one is definitely the technology adoption lifecycle, right? So it doesn't happen immediately, right? So when we have a new product, there are some people who are going to get into our product early on, and others who are going to kind of be a little bit more reluctant to adopt it, right? So I think the main thing here, these kind of people, innovators, early adopters, they have different reasons to use our product than the other ones, such as late majority, right? And they kind of behave in a very different way. If you have like kind of an MVP works here, the first two ones, right? Late majority is not going to accept a bugged or a bad user experience. They might give up, right? So it's interesting to think about that, right? So how can we get each one of these groups to use the product? But this applies to feature as well, okay? Don't think just about a new product, but about a new feature. This can be applied as well. So it's interesting to find out who are your innovators or your adopters of your product, because then you can maybe, even when you have a new feature, to start with them. Cool. The other one, technology adoption lifecycle, we just focus here, right? But we have the category maturity lifecycle, right? So every product is inside a market, right? And this market might be growing, this market might be already on the mature market, right? Stable, or it might be a declining market, right? Where products die, right? So it's interesting to think about that, and where should we invest our time, right? So when we are growing and we are at a moment where we have many competitors and we gotta be very smart about the use of our time or the team time, right? Where should we invest our time? Should we maybe hire some kind of SaaS platform to solve this other corner, even though it might not be perfect, so we can make sure that that single core value that we offer on this product is just perfect, right? So it's interesting to think about where to invest our time. Same case on the declining market. If we are on a product or market that is going away pretty soon, it's time maybe for us to invest our time on new products and discover new things, right? So these are two moments to pay attention to, right? Cool. The other one is the Kano Model. I'm a big fan of the Kano Model, and I think it's very interesting to think about, to look at the market, right? So as we start to have other competitors on the market, what are the things which kind of became like a basic expectation, right? That if we don't have it, it's bad, but if we have it, nobody's going to say, wow, you're amazing, right? So, and what are the things which are attractive? What are the things which are delighters? That if we don't have it, it's fine, but if we have it, awesome, that's surprising, right? And to understand that some of the things which are awesome become regular with time, right? Oh, I don't know, car with air conditioning was awesome once, it's not anymore. It's just a basic expectation, right? Nobody's going to come and say, wow, right? And same case applies to products. Cool. Another one, I love this one, the fire metrics, right? R, right? So acquisition, activation, retention, revenue, and referral. This doesn't apply perfectly to every single product. It's very good for SaaS products, right? But I think it can be very useful to think about this whole journey that the user gets into, right? To say, from getting to know about the product, from becoming a user, right? Using it back again and again, paying for it, right? And telling it to others, right? Each one of these steps, there are many sub-metrics and experiments we can do with it. And I think it's interesting to reflect about all of those, right? One quick question, which is very interesting that most people get wrong. Many startups, by the way, which one should we focus on first? Do you guys know it? Retention, not acquisition. People always think about, let's get people inside. And you have like a bucket with a hole here on retention, and you're always dropping users inside, and everyone is leaving. So retention is the most important one first, for sure. Cool. So, wow, I kind of like dropped like thousands of ideas here for you guys. And, we start to think, okay, which one should we focus on first? How could I prioritize and invest my time the best way possible? And I think there are two ways to think about it. One is, what is the biggest risk, right? That's the negative one. What can make our company or product basically go bankrupt and close, right? What is the biggest risk right now for the business? And the other side is, what is the biggest opportunity, right? Maybe how can we grow 10 times? How can we grow super fast? Is there anything that we can do that can kind of change the game, right? Those are the two questions that I think we can kind of reflect and ask ourselves. And, we don't need to think about the full list of 45 items. It's just, what is the biggest one, the second one, the third one, right? Cool. That's basically about it.